O saintly man. Many disciples came, good and true, to help you spread the mission too. They followed your orders, were loyal and bold, and by your mercy became lofty-souled. We remember with joy and pride how you were always by our side. Everything went on by your grace. All obstacles we were able to face. Strong as the tiger or the bull, with lotus eyes so large and full, like sun and moon adorning the sky, your high qualities we glorify. Travelling the world, O mighty sage, though your body was marked by age, most eloquent of men, a holy guide, you pushed back Kali Yuga's tide. All around there was unholy fire, you extinguished it by the Lord's desire. Some looked upon it with dread, nevertheless from the front you led. It was not easy, but you were blessed, solemn and successful in your quest. To the highest duty you adhered. In this way you were always revered. The world was veiled in blinding night, and no one knew what was right. Where were the leaders in any state? Good from bad they failed to separate. But in the future, rulers of the land, by Lord Sri Krishna's side will stand. Already we see this coming true, by your efforts and because of you. Lord Chaitanya, the mercy incarnation, his desire will spread to every nation, sure to increase more and more to faraway places and distant shores. Like Indra pouring down heavenly rain, nectar will drench the burning plain. The Lord made this mighty prediction. It will be fulfilled without restriction. Prabhupada, you came in his holy line, so brilliant, wonderful and divine. You serve Krishna with mind and soul. Please help us reach that lofty goal. Your unworthy disciple, Ramaswamy. Okay. Who wants to go first? Shastra, would you like to speak? You know, the etiquette of Vyasa-puja is to have the seniors speak first. And some people go, oh, why don't I get a go? Well, we have to stick to the etiquette. So I'm trying to speed things up. So perhaps keep it, no, speak as much as you like.
Srila Prabhupada.
And then where's that other microphone? We have another mic. Can we give it to the gentlemen and gentlewomen, please? Not working? We can hand this one over.
Srila Prabhupada, following in your footsteps, and I've wrote a poem, and it's titled A Past to Last.
Loudly.
Remembering all those years ago, an old LP, the first I bought, from that someone going solo. Why this one? Was this one some kind of linchpin? Was it a reminder, a direction, a call coming from within? There were so many records all there to catch the eye, yet this particular one I was impelled to buy. It was George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. I enjoyed it, taking me on a journey without the past. It also tied in later with the Bhagavad Gita's theme, a book I bought from the Swanson Street team. Was it then a journey that had just begun, or was it a reconnection into a soul's quest for a home run? Of a past re-emerging, love's lift into that and beyond, the open door, and one might then ponder other periods or groups before, connections into various other times and places, in that journey that forever onwards graces. Life journey experiences, singing, edging us forward into further explore, making us feel sometimes discontent, thus searching for more. From that family life with parents, then feeling less and less connected. As my visits to the St Kilda Temple, also still somewhat disconnected. Dissatisfaction that brought further the travelling plan to persist. The dream for me, visiting Europe, would help and assist. Culture said, come, I'll show you and take you deeper. Travelling into past times, museums, glimpses, as that soul seeker. There, the record still played. All things must pass. With countries still holding on to any murdered race, with connective eyes dancing through centuries of strife. The souls there within still seemingly covered to their eternal life. Chance encounters, perhaps, the changes. Here, now, we gather. Why? All under the auspices here of our Divine Father, who ventured to the West in the 60s, frail yet strong, where your divine rhetoric, Srila Prabhupada, inspired such mantra song, change. You directed into the streets a message millions old. Change. You took your devotees back to India for all to unfold. Change. Western sadhus highlighting some errors that were out of line. Change. You enabled all to rise, regardless of birth, whole into the divine. All a song that LP and ISKCON, gaining worldwide popularity. Harrison's song gifts returning to aid ISKCON's working melody. Later, I was able to gather with George, Narahari, Gokulrani, and Bhaktivedanta Manna, drawn by songs that shone Srila Prabhupada with your message. Early memories play now as transcendental messages of love. Your visits in a white Rolls Royce, yet you were far above. And being moved in a pelican, August, summer, expressing your light. That 1977 Vyasa-puja, a significant memory of date and insight, where devotees were arriving from all around Europe with excitation, increasing the combined energy, all gathering together with adoration. And it was like you, Srila Prabhupada, were individually with each of us. Your smile, taking us into beyond, with that feeling of being in Satya Yuga Plus. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Thank you. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Pradaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvisesha Sanivani Skanda Deshatarne. Srila Prabhupada is ISKCON's founder Acharya, our foremost. Excuse me, I've got to go back. Srila Prabhupada is ISKCON's founder Acharya, our foremost instructing spiritual master. We believe that his books will enlighten people like you and me for centuries to come. In his letter to Bhagavatananda Das in 1972, Srila Prabhupada wrote, "Try to always study our books and see our philosophy from different lights of directions. Become convinced yourself of this knowledge, and without a doubt, all of your difficulties of mind will disappear forever, and you will see Krishna face to face." Srila Prabhupada's teachings can systematically be studied online in Bhaktivedanta database and in Vanipedia. His diaries, historical writings, conversations, and all the extensive documents of his life are recorded in the desktop folio version of Bhaktivedanta database. Srila Prabhupada's pastimes are recorded by Satsguru Maharaj in Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, by Yaduvara Prabhu in following Srila Prabhupada, by Siddhanta Prabhu in memories of Srila Prabhupada, and by disciples like Gaura Prabhu in the Great Transcendental Adventure. Each day, we have the opportunity to chant Srila Prabhupada's glories in Guru Astakam at Mangalati. The ladies have the opportunity to chant japa while hearing him chant. We all have the opportunity to offer Guru Puja and drum and chant the Guru Vajan prayers, to hear his Bhagavatam purports. We are fortunate to be able to study his life and teachings in the founder Acharya and disciple courses, as well as Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vedanta, and Bhakti Vaibhav courses. As the representative of the disciple succession, Srila Prabhupada gives us darshan throughout the day, accepting our obeisances, the gifts of flowers, our service, and our prayers. Those of us who were blessed to see Srila Prabhupada waiting for Sri Gaurani's darshan, speaking in this room or with reporters at Melbourne Airport, witnessed his humility and his desire to make Krishna consciousness freely available to all that he met. He was a true descendant of Lord Nityananda, never taking offense when he was provoked, but always fanning the sparks of faith whenever he found them. All of us are bound in an intimate relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and because he is a transparent via medium, a pure, unrolled devotee, we are also bound up in real relationships with our Guru Parampara, reaching back to the six Goswamis and their lordships through Sri Gaurani. Because of our conditional, confidential relationships with Srila Prabhupada, his mood and mission, we are bound in relationships with one another and with the conditioned souls he asks us to share our experiences of Krishna consciousness with. Srila Prabhupada's theological contribution to our world has been analysed by Tamal Krishna Goswami in a living theology of Krishna Bhakti. And with your kind permission, I'd like to spend just a little time on this. In the introduction, Garuda Prabhu writes, This book focuses on the actions and practices of one teacher, Srila Prabhupada, and how his presentation contributed a living theology to the ancient tradition of Krishna Bhakti. In that the Bhakti tradition assumed new dimensions that would reach and engage the faith of persons born to other traditions. Faith is what stirs most deeply within human hearts. It is fully trusting in the highest thing we know and in what we most love. It moves out from the heart into the subtle realms of inner thought and then into engagement with the world. Its very depths are aligned with one's most profound sense of purpose and meaning in life. Even death becomes its handmaiden. The intricacies of faith, its innermost workings, and that form of discourse with which we examine it and illuminate it are the unique tasks of theology. While human faith takes numerous forms, while it may manifest as a very personal vision or as a collective vision within particular traditions and faith communities, each expression of faith in its own way reveals and articulates something of its mysterious nature. Tamal Krishna Goswami identifies living theology or living faith as the contemporary manifestation of a long and vital theological tradition. The phrase living theology refers to a theology capable of bringing the whole practice of Krishna Bhakti fully into the lives of persons, not only in modern times, but around the globe in various cultures. Maharaj expresses one intended meaning of living theology as Prabhupada's unique capacity to bring new life into the tradition. What is it about Prabhupada's theology, his faith, that makes the Vaishnava tradition come alive in the latter half of the 20th century to the extent that it is able to spread and take root in foreign lands? Tamal Krishna Maharaj writes, and make for Prabhupada no claim of doctrinal inventiveness. Vedanta traditions avoid the idea of theological originality. Nevertheless, the fact that the basic Gaudiya Vaishnava system of thought is enshrined, that was enshrined 5 centuries ago, and still being spoken about as a current practice, is to be credited not only to the resilient craft of the original chief architects, but to their descendants as resourceful preservationists. Only a couple more paragraphs, please bear with me. The preservation is rarely a passive receptivity. In Srila Prabhupada's case, to engage the text, the scripture, as part of a larger project of cultural transmission is to mine the scripture's rich repository of customs, values, and song, so that it may produce a living theology, a living faith in the West and around the world. So thank you. I'd like to return to Srila Prabhupada's letter to Bhagavatam Das in 1972. Srila Prabhupada asks him, always study our books and see our philosophy from different lights of directions, become convinced yourself of his knowledge, and without doubt, all your difficulties of mind will disappear forever, and you will see Krishna face to face. Please let us all pray that Srila Prabhupada blesses us to do this. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Where's Prana was out there? Let's go to Prana.
Prana is out here. He was just here, and I wanted him to be brought over there.
Grab him.
Can we get everyone to move forward a little bit?
Yes, and please, the flower people, take those flowers out. I asked, you didn't do it. I'm serious. They're taking up space. Please. You can make those gardens elsewhere.
Plenty of room, just keep moving forward.
Please move down.
No, it's not fair.
And you can move this also
No, Leela.
upstairs.
Come on, pick up, go.
There's also a video upstairs.
I know, there's space being taken by flower boxes that doesn't need to be selfishly taken up. Sorry to be so harsh, but I've already said it once. I said it last year, everybody ignored me. So I can only take ignorance a few times. Of course it is devotional service, I appreciate that also. Matri, very well, I'm talking to you. Please don't ignore me.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Wait, do we get Prana? Okay, good. And everybody else, I think we can move at least 1 more metre towards me. Get a space here. They're not now. You can. You're sitting there. We're bringing everybody closer to the prime entity. That's Krishna. That's done by squeezing more people into the temple room. Okay.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Vipadaya Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharya Deva Visesha Srimati Krishna Chadha. Dear Srila Prabhupada, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 19.151 it's stated, according to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. We become devotees of Krishna not only by our own endeavours, but through the unconditional love and mercy of our spiritual master, and especially for most of us, our grand spiritual master, the Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Please continue to bestow your blessings upon me, pull me out of the clutches of Maya, and keep me enthused to spread Krishna consciousness, your message on your behalf. Srila Prabhupada, you have freed us from captivity and bondage and given us a true purpose in our lives, a totally fulfilling and joyous purpose to deliver the message of Lord Sri Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to all that we meet. I'm truly indebted to you for allowing me to present Krishna consciousness to a great variety of individuals from all walks of life, from politicians and business leaders to a lowly and sick individual lying in a hospital bed. Hari Bol.
just wanted to relate this year one of the most moving experiences that I had in my Krishna consciousness this year, as far as presenting Krishna consciousness, was in that situation where there was a person lying in a bed, a little Indian lady. She had some idea about Krishna consciousness, but not much. And she'd been lying in bed there. She was an older lady, and she'd been lying in bed for about 3 days. No one was visiting her because her family were busy working. She was in a strange place, and she was feeling very lonely and very vulnerable. She didn't like the food stuff she was being given, although it was vegetarian. She couldn't relate to it at all. And so then I came in and said, I'm the Hindu chaplain for this particular hospital. Well, she couldn't grasp that either, so I simply said, Hare Krishna. Oh, you're from ISKCON? I said, yes, I'm from ISKCON, and I look after the Hindu patients here. She couldn't speak much English, but she turned around and I said to her, I've got a gift for you. She said, oh, and I brought out the Bhagavad Gita, and she saw the Bhagavad Gita, and she put it to her head, and she kissed it, and she put it to her head and kissed it, put it to her head and kissed it, and she said, Krishna has come, now everything will be okay. That Srila Prabhupada is giving all over the world. People are absolutely enthralled that Prabhupada has given this mercy to everyone, So I'm truly indebted for allowing Srila Prabhupada to let me do this service. Now, at this stage in my life, I have an opportunity to add another dimension in presenting Krishna consciousness to a broader community. This time utilizing the skills that I was trained in prior to becoming a devotee, and I sincerely hope Srila Prabhupada will bless me in this direction as well. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada, on this wonderful day of Vyasa-puja. Also, I'd just like to mention that my wife, Bhakti Devi, can't be here today because our daughter is in hospital, and I'd like you all to pray for her as well. So, all glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Your very grateful grand disciple, Bhaktidas. Hare Krishna.
Hey? Why not? You've got the microphone in your hand. Take advantage of it. Nara, come in. Make some room for Nara. Can you sit on the floor, Nara, or you've got to sit in a chair? Okay, good. Come in. You might have to be a little determined there, Kashi, if you want to get in. That's good. Okay, past this, back to what you did.
Up the back, right up the back.
Can't we leave the doors open? You don't need to close the doors. Put the curtain across. Okay, Prabhu.
Om Krishna Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Gadesha Navigam Swami Vinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pichani Nishesha Srimati Hasta Praise. Please accept my apologies for coming late this morning. It's been hard to drag these bones out today. You sometimes wonder whether this is such a good thing, you know. John must be one day and Srila Prabhupada's the next day, the next day. It's hard going, it's quite a marathon. But actually sometimes I think about it, you couldn't get a more perfect arrangement. It's just so befitting that Srila Prabhupada's glorification should come the day after Janmashtami. It's the perfect transcendental arrangement. Not some other time of year. It ties Srila Prabhupada and Krishna very closely together, just how it should be. And we hope that this will go on. Of course it will go on for a long time. Of course, some of us may not be here to participate in this. Srila Prabhupada, can you like to write something? A little. I'll bring to Srila Prabhupada. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances for all glories to your divine grace. This is a very special day when we can offer our heartfelt gratitude for everything you have given to us. Of course, we should be grateful for every day in your service and ever thankful for the opportunities that may come our way. We are always inspired by everything you embodied and everything you achieved. You are the perfect example of a disciple and a guiding light for all of those who take short of and embrace your ISKCON. We, your followers, have inestimable good fortune, and you have created that good fortune for us. You set up your own spiritual master, absolutely sentient, thou hast proved, and personal calamity thou hast moved. Following steadfastly in his footsteps, you have expertly established the truths of that absolutely sentient, and kick out all nonsensical impersonal philosophies and sentiments with great vigour and courage. You have left no stone unturned in revealing all the essential truths in Lord Krishna's teaching. And have delivered that so successfully without any personal motivation or interpretation. Thus we are all the fortunate beneficiaries of your great work. Your beginnings in life may be viewed as somewhat ordinary, but by some perspectives, but we see in your later life how extraordinary your achievements became. For those of us who may now be advancing in age and facing the difficulties that may come along with those ages, we are increasingly aware of the challenges that you bravely confronted and overcame. The formulas for success that you gave us are tried and true, but a little help along the way is always welcome for those of us who may fall into the category of battling our material demons or shortcomings. You have touched us with your wand, and sooner or later, success is bound to come. I just want to read a little excerpt from a conversation in Rishikesh in May of 1977, when Srila Prabhupada's health was failing. This is Tamal Krishna speaking. He says, someone came this morning. He was asking that, he was hoping that because he had heard you had some mystical powers, so he was hoping you could help his situation by demonstrating some of these mystical powers. Prabhupada, some magic? Our magic is already there. Throughout the world we are chanting Hare Krishna. Is that not magic? Foreign countries, foreign religion, and they're accepting Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna. Is that not magic? Indian man, yes it is. Prabhupada. And still more magic. The world is chanting Hare Krishna. Yogi Namapi Sarvesham Madhyatein Antaratmanan Sradavan Bhatate Yomam Same Yuktadamomadaha. He is yogi. There are many varieties of yogis. And Krishna concludes with all the yogis, big yogis, the person who was always remembering Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna mantra is first class. This is said by Krishna, not by me. Therefore it is authorized statement. Without Krishna consciousness, all these mystic powers, they may temporarily bring some magic. But Krishna says that one who is always remembering me, Satam Gitaram Tomam Kitam Prasthara Gitara. He is first class yogi. So all these persons who are chanting Hare Krishna according to the prescribed rules and regulations without any offence, there are 10 kinds of offences. So in the beginning there may be offences, it doesn't matter. It will be rectified. Offenceless chanting means mukti, and then pure chanting means love of Godhead. That's the end of the quote. By Srila Prabhupada's grace, the opportunities for perfection in life and pure devotional service is open to all of us. We just have to take that opportunity. So in conclusion, we long to remain always under your spell, under your magic spell, and pray to reciprocate the kindness that you have shown to us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya,
It's okay, you're right.
Srila Prabhupada, Vyasa-puja is arrived once again every year. I was just thinking on the way to the temple this morning that one of the first things you taught us was that the spiritual master isn't necessarily God. It's a common misbelief in some quarters that the Guru was an incarnation of God. And you made it very clear, no, the spiritual master is a servant of God, just as everyone else is, or a servant of Krishna. But I think the pure devotee of the Lord sometimes, I think, is very powerful. And in fact, I've started to think maybe Srila Prabhupada controls the weather. I honestly can say I counted it up, 48 Vyasa-pujas. And every single one of them has been a sunny day. And I always think Vyasa-puja is always the best day of the year. We celebrate, the weather's nice, the devotees are ecstatic, the prasadam is wonderful. So it's a big, big celebration. So I hope you don't mind, I might indulge you with some personal recollections of Srila Prabhupada. I was quite fortunate in as much as I was able to see him on a number of occasions, and I can recount Srila Prabhupada came to England with Janmashtami. I think it was 1972, 73 maybe. And we celebrated Vyasa-puja, of course, on the day after Janmashtami. And I can remember very clearly Prabhupada sitting on the Vyasa stand as he is now. And we thought it was a big deal in those days. We made 108 preps. Nowadays they make 1,008, but we did 108 preparations. And Prabhupada tasted them all. Then we done kirtan, and it was quite extraordinary because Prabhupada then started, because we were offering flowers, and Prabhupada started throwing them back at us. And it was very, very ecstatic. It was probably the most ecstatic experience, apart from one other, which I'll tell you about, which was during the Vyasa-puja that year. It was customary for Prabhupada to sit on the Vyasa stand, which was put on the front of the Vyasa-puja card. And Prabhupada would sit there and maybe play the gong or the kartals. But that particular year, in spite of Prabhupada being maybe 76 years old, I suppose, Prabhupada got off the Vyasa stand and said, I want to walk, I want to enjoy the parade along with everyone else. So I was blessed because Prabhupada, just as we do in the temple, have kirtan, we all dance around one another. Well, could you imagine? You're having that kind of kirtan, and who happens to be in the middle of the kirtan? Srila Prabhupada. And he would dance, and he could turn around every few steps, look back at Lord Jagannath, and raise his arms, and everyone would become more and more ecstatic. And it was a wonderful experience, never to forget. And you could play the madanga, the dance close up, and Prabhupada would smile. And it was truly a day of Vaikuntha. You had some idea of what it would like to actually be liberated, to be free from the pangs of material existence. And that was all due to Srila Prabhupada's association. If you could get Srila Prabhupada's association even for a moment, it would make you very, very happy. And so we're told to follow in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps. And sometimes you go on a morning walk. And Prabhupada would walk, and we'd walk close behind, watching everything, waiting for drops of nectar. Where would the nectar come from? From Prabhupada's lips. He would speak something, and every single time he would reveal an extraordinary truth. And Prabhupada never used cliches, It was always fresh, it was always something new, something you hadn't heard before. And so our ears were very attentive. And that could be transformative also. So hearing from Srila Prabhupada, we can still do that. But in his association, you can only imagine how enthralling it was. So the ecstasy of Srila Prabhupada's association is something very, very special, wherever you go. Of course, we say that Prabhupada's still present, because he's still present in the form of his books, his teachings, his association. It's actually, as when some people come to the temple, they see Prabhupada sitting there. And they say, oh, there's somebody sitting there. He appears to be actually, well, he is living. It's in the eye of the seer, actually. I always have a little difficulty with that. And Prabhupada wants to explain that you can have a photograph of the spiritual master and worship it, and it is non-different. And what is it that makes it non-different? Does anyone know? Prabhupada explains, it's the bhakti. It's the devotion you have makes that become a manifestation. So the more love, devotion we have for Prabhupada, the more keenness we have to serve him, the more we'll feel his presence and the more transformative he can be for us. Because material nature is very strong. It comes in like a cloud, it covers the sun, covers us, tendency to fall into ignorance. And what's Prabhupada compared to? Prabhupada's compared to the sun. Because the sun will light up.
Press the red button.
Just
On the side.
Give it to someone under 30.
Not in my purse, that's why I'm just calling this.
Oh, very good.
Are you the culprit? Very wonderful memories, because these memories last for lifetimes. And Srila Prabhupada today, in his Bhajan Kutir, makes me remember Srila Prabhupada when he was at Mayapur. And of course you can go to Mayapur now. Prabhupada has the Samadhi there. Everything connected to Prabhupada's time here, his travels, his great success. So we honor you, Srila Prabhupada. You're the greatest pure devotee you could ever know. And we offer our obeisances to you. Hare Krishna. Where's this going?
Go Colorani.
I've got a microphone. I probably don't need it. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, please accept my obeisances, all glories to your auspicious appearance. Today is a day that we can especially be thankful, grateful, and appreciate what you have given. Your name rightly sits as our founder Acharya, for it was you who brought this message to us in the West and then cleverly took it back to India. You boarded the Jaladuta with firm faith in your spiritual master's instructions and faith in Krishna, and stepped off in America with pretty much nothing else, and as they say, the rest is history. Like a magician, you changed lives and hearts, and today you continue to do so through your books, your society you have created. Everyone in this room is a confirmation to that. They all have stories on how they visited a temple, got one of your books, bought a record, took prasadam, or met devotees, and their lives were changed. You have given us the spiritual world. You have given meaning to our lives, shelter and direction through the potency of your words, and through your mercy, you have allowed us to give it to others. Such is your potency. Srila Prabhupada, I pray today that you'll always keep me close, serving your devoted followers, and that I will never take for granted
the gift you have bestowed upon this once unfortunate and now fortunate soul. Thank you for being tolerant, compassionate and merciful. You're aspiring servants of your servants. Srila.
There is a live feed upstairs in the Prashad Hall. So the devotees that are standing in and sitting in this area where the guests should be having the darshan, could you please go upstairs? Go for running.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's turned on, I'm just thinking.
I have a sometimes unenviable task of telling people what to do. So please forgive me. I used to enjoy doing it once. Because I'm going to suffer for all of the offences I've committed. Okay, devotees who are sitting behind the, what do we call it? The barrier. Would you mind going upstairs, please, so that those who want to come for darshan have ease of access? And if you have somebody who can monitor that, because what people do is they see, oh, this space, they walk in and sit down. It's like being in India. Right? There's space, sit in it. And then when you're asked to move, you just don't say anything. You just keep sitting. Because the Indian authorities are expert at dealing with these situations, and so the police all have those bamboo butters. I've seen it in Mayapur, which is actually very shocking for me because the crowd wasn't behaving and they weren't moving, and the police came in with those bamboo sticks and they started whacking people on the ankles. Because that's where it's going to hurt the most. Right? And they tied it up and sent fairly quickly, actually. Now, I'm not suggesting that's what we should do. It is a meditation. You know, when Prabhupada first came into the temple and he offered his obeisances, the first thing he said was, "It's not big enough." And the devotees at the time could not conceive of what that meant, but of course now we have a very real appreciation of what Prabhupada meant. Regular rain? And pass it over to
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. So wonderful to see you sitting in your Bhajana Kutir, and thank you for the devotees that put that together. So beautiful. Not among hundreds and thousands, but among millions of perfectly liberated souls, a pure devotee is hardly ever found. That's how special Prabhupada is. John Lennon once asked Prabhupada, what is a true guru? And Srila Prabhupada, thanks, he said, one who's addicted to Krishna. That was interesting Prabhupada said that, because at that time John Lennon had addictions to other things. None of us would be here today if it hadn't been for Srila Prabhupada. And as Prabhu had mentioned, it's so hard to understand how he did that at the ripe old age of 69. I had a little association with Prabhupada because I didn't join in the early days, but I joined in London, and both the manor and buried place were quite well established, and the movement was taking off and lots of devotees had joined then. But I first heard Srila Prabhupada speak in the Melbourne Town Hall, and it was interesting what he said really changed my life. He said one has to understand and prepare to go back to Godhead. That is the business of this human life, and all other business is simply a waste of time. And I'd been feeling pretty useless at that time, so later on that year I joined the temple. Prabhupada is an ocean of auspicious qualities. He was Always very quick-witted and jolly, intelligent, gentle, that's just to name a few, but could be very strong and forthright. For an example, one morning on a morning walk in London, in Regent's Park, he asked his servant at the time to take a twig from a willow tree to make a toothbrush. The park attendant, or park ranger at that time, became quite upset and reprimanded Prabhupada. Prabhupada thought this was petty and was not impressed. He said to the ranger, "Your country has plundered wealth from all over the world, and now you will not allow us to even take a twig from your garden." Jai Srila Prabhupada. Park ranger was taken by surprise and backed off. One other time, a cheeky newspaper reporter asked Prabhupada, "So, do you think you know everything?" And Prabhupada said, "Yes." He was often jolly and humorous and would often tease the devotees. I was in the audience in the manner when one disciple, and you've probably heard this story before, asked him about was Bhagavad Gita spoken in the hellish planets? And Prabhupada replied, "Yes, we are speaking it now." At another time, he did say, when the sun shines in London, which is not very often, it is the most beautiful place in the world. Prabhupada, always humble, would never take credit for his accomplishments. He would say that he was just presenting what he had heard from his spiritual master, although all his godbrothers had tried to do what he did and weren't successful. No one in history has ever spoken and acted as Prabhupada did to bring devotion to Krishna from the east to the west. His words will echo around the world for centuries to come. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Kristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Krishadini Namaseshi Sunmari Paschatya Vishatarine. This is an offering from Chandrakirti and myself. Paramanda Paramita Kanda Bhagavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasadi Poet Bhaktivedanta Beach. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the kripa of devotional service. Who is that fortunate soul? A fortunate soul is one who knows that he is not this material body, but a spirit soul, one who knows he is an eternal servant of Krishna, one who knows that he is a part and parcel of Krishna, one who has heard Krishna Katha from the pure devotee, who has heard that Krishna is infallible, without a second, without a beginning, with unlimited forms. He is the oldest and yet always youthful. He cannot be understood by Vedic studies, but by bhakti alone. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. A fortunate soul is one who has experienced a Janmashtami celebration of Lord Krishna, who has given up all desires for personal gratification, absorbed himself in hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord, and greeted the Vaishnavas with love and affection on the Krishna Janmashtami day. Fortunate indeed are those devotees who glorify, hear about, and serve the pure devotees of the Lord. Fortunate are those who sit today at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, bathing in his glorification, smearing the dust at his lotus feet over their bodies, dumbfounded at the extent of his unfathomable devotion. Mahindisham Parodajo Vishekam. Srila Prabhupada, you created our fortune, and we offer everything we have received back to you and the Parampara, always aspiring to be mindful of where we receive this treasure and to never flaunt it, or exploit it, or extort it, but to imbibe it, to live it, and to share it. Please give these servants of yours a drop of mercy. Consider us on this day your servants. Give us the strength to bear all trials and tribulations, and free us from all desire for personal honor. Your humble servants, Pranadas and Chandrakoti Devidas.
Just bring the information. Thank you.
Please make way for the offering. This microphone's not working now. It is on. How much? That might want it on. Can I have that other microphone, please? What's wrong with that? We only have one mic. We did have two, but no, we only have one. I'm going to read my offering, if that's okay. I've titled this, He Must Have Known. And this is a couple of stories that I've picked up. I want to share, first of all, Oma Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I want to share two stories that illustrate my appreciation of you, Srila Prabhupada. The first originates from an offering your disciple Harsharani Devi Dasi wrote in early 1968 in glorification of her spiritual master. Dear Swamiji, this is very early days of ISKCON, so Prabhupada wasn't called Prabhupada then. Dear Swamiji, I offer my respects unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who was always herding cows in Goloka Vrindavan with his dearmost friend Krishna. Sometimes he is running barefoot through the forest chasing cows, and sometimes he is hiding behind a tree waiting for Krishna to return with the spoils from Mother Yashoda's butter pots. I offer my respects unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who is always thinking of what he can do in service of his dearmost friend Krishna, and never wanting anything in return. Upon hearing her offering, you responded, she has become advanced. Later, Malati recalled, sitting with Srila Prabhupada, we shyly asked him, are you a cowboy? Keep in mind, we didn't know the word Gopa at the time. To which he simply answered in a matter-of-fact tone, yes. We never doubted or double-guessed this information. We didn't even know that it was not appropriate to make such an inquiry. Then the next one I read just recently this week, it's called The Macmillan Miracle. The Bhagavad Gita was important to Srila Prabhupada. He saw it as the perfect book to convey Krishna consciousness, as it consists of the Lord's own words and his interactions with his loving devotee. In 1939, just 7 years after Prabhupada was initiated by his spiritual master, he wrote a lengthy introduction to the book in English, presaging his full translation and commentary, which appeared soon after he began his mission in the West. When Prabhupada arrived in New York in 1965, he gave priority to his work on the Gita. In India, he had already completed a translation spanning well over 1,000 pages, but It was stolen. In 1967, he finished the new manuscript, again over 1,000 pages, and resolved to get a major publisher so that his message would be heard throughout the world. At the time, Allen Ginsberg, famous poet of the Beat Generation, was visiting the New York Temple, and he was enjoying a friendly relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Since Ginsberg was an experienced publisher, since Ginsberg was an experienced published author, Prabhupada asked him to show the manuscript to his benefactors, which Ginsberg did. But they were unimpressed, claiming the book had little commercial value. Prabhupada then gave the manuscript to Roya Ram Das, an early disciple with some experience in the publishing world. Roya Ram, too, was unsuccessful in his attempts, his contacts explaining their hesitation in much the same way that Ginsberg's did. Enter Brahmananda Das, one of Prabhupada's earliest disciples. He vividly relates the story as if it were yesterday, though it was more than 40 years ago. I didn't know anything about publishing, he admits, but Prabhupada put the manuscript in my hands saying, "You must get this published." So I knew what I had to do. What he didn't know was how to do it. If Ginsberg and Roya Ram couldn't get the book published, how would he? I bought a couple of books on publishing, and I was about to take a publishing course at New York University. I just didn't know what to do. Still, Prabhupada wanted me to get the book published, and that was that. Around this time, the devotees had released the Happening album, an assortment of devotional songs sung by Prabhupada with musical accompaniment. They had placed an ad for the record in the Village Voice and were receiving orders from various parts of the East Coast. One such order came from uptown Manhattan, relatively close to the little storefront serving as a temple for Prabhupada and his early disciples. Brahmananda brought the letter to his spiritual master. "Look, Swamiji," as Prabhupada was then called, "it's an order from Macmillan. They're one of the biggest publishers in the world." Prabhupada gazed knowingly into his disciples' eyes and gave the following directives. "Do not mail out this order as we do with others. Instead, bring the record to Macmillan's offices and hand deliver it to the person who sent us the letter." Brahmananda nodded, aware that Krishna was using him as an instrument. "When you deliver the album," Prabhupada continued, "tell them that you are a disciple of a guru from India and that he has translated the Bhagavad Gita. They will publish it. Do not worry." Brahmananda was stunned. Prabhupada seemed so confident. There was no doubt the book would get published, and by Macmillan. One couldn't do much better than that. The next day, dressed in a suit and tie, Brahmananda made his way up to the Macmillan skyscraper at 866 3rd Avenue, just off 52nd Street. His expectations as large as the building itself. He was disappointed when he learned that the order for the album had come from a clerk in the mailroom. This really had nothing to do with the publishing company. It was just a simple worker who had some interest in mantras and meditation. So Brahmananda dutifully delivered the album and had pretty much given up hope that his teacher's Gita would get published. Just then, in the midst of polite small talk with the clerk, a young executive happened to appear, hoping to collect his mail. The clerk introduced him to Brahmananda. "This is James O'Shea Wade, our senior editor." Brahmananda seized the moment. "I am a disciple of a guru from India," he said, trying to repeat Prabhupada's words verbatim. "He has translated the Bhagavad Gita." "What?" Wade responded incredulously. "We've just published a full line of spiritual books, and we were looking for a Bhagavad Gita to fill out the set." Brahmananda's mouth dropped open. Though at a loss for words himself, he contemplated the potency of Prabhupada's. "They will publish it, do not worry." Wade then broke the awkward silence. "You bring in the manuscript tomorrow," he offered, "and we'll publish it, sight unseen." Brahmananda raced back down to the storefront and told Prabhupada the news. In his own inimitable way, in his own inimitable way. Stupid. In his own inimitable way, Prabhupada was nonchalant, as though he knew. Prabhupada was nonchalant, as though he knew what would transpire before it happened. Now, are these memories of an overzealous disciple an exaggerated footnote in ISKCON's 40-year history? I decided to find out. This is Satyaraj wrote this article, this story. I found James Wade, and he confirmed the events in question. He remembered the incident with tremendous clarity, supporting Brahmananda's story, and he offered an addendum. I vividly remember the stir caused in our rather sedate and boring office the day the Swami came to visit, accompanied by followers in orange robes. Apparently, Prabhupada himself brought the manuscript the day after Brahmananda's brief visit to Macmillan. Wade shared his thoughts about Prabhupada's spirituality. I remember the Swami as being a very imposing and striking figure with a powerful spiritual aura. His like had never before been seen in the Macmillan offices. Around that time, we also published Alan Watts and John Bleibtreu, who was involved in the spiritual and communal movement called Arika. Macmillan had a tradition of publishing books about spirituality and religion at that time. I think that ended not long after I left to become the editor-in-chief of the now defunct World Publishing Company, but the Swami was special, that was clear. I asked Wade to elaborate on that fateful meeting. Our office was a rather austere, coolly modern place as far as decor. I remember having some apprehension about how comfortable the Swami would feel in this rather alien setting, but it turned out that he was a man who was at peace and at home in any environment. I remember him as a rather tall man, physically imposing, but of course he wasn't, being rather small in stature and not at all daunting, quiet, modest, and surrounded by a kind of stillness, a peacefulness that was welcoming. I can't think of a more precise word. He was in the world and at the same time not of it. He knew that we live in a world of illusion, something science has also taught us as we go from subatomic particles and quantum mechanics to string theory. I remember that he wanted the Bhagavad Gita as it is to get the widest possible exposure in the US. As I recall, things like the Hare Krishna movement were in the very early stages. Alternative spirituality ranging from Zen to Tibetan Buddhism, for example, had not then touched the minds and spirits of people the way such alternatives do today for so many. Okay, so here's what I wanted to say. My appreciation of you, Srila Prabhupada, is that you must have known the magnitude of what you were doing. You knew who you were. You knew your mission. You knew the highest of spiritual truths and the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. You knew you were acting as Krishna's instrument, that you were empowered by him. Yet, you didn't make a flashy show of spirituality. You focused on the details of your mission and remained faithful to the order and teachings of your Guru Maharaj, the previous Acharyas, and Sri Chaitanya Dev Mahaprabhu. You were faithful to the practice of bhakti. You didn't make a show of your spiritual position despite knowing it. You demonstrated it. You didn't make a show by speaking of it. Rather, you put your money where your mouth is by doing it. You teach by example as a true Acharya does. I offer my deepest and most respectful obeisances to you on this most sacred of days. I pray that you bless me so I can serve you faultlessly as you served your Guru Maharaj and the previous Acharyas. I beg to remain your servant of your servants. Okay, Sukadev, you're next. We only got one more.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Dear Srila Prabhupada, we offer our humble obeisances unto you, Srila Prabhupada. You are very dear to Lord Krishna. Taking the order of your Guru and on your head, you became empowered by Lord Nityananda to act as a Saktavesh avatar. You distributed the holy name Hare Krishna mantra to all over the eastern and western world. Deliver and uplifting all fallen souls. You are the best of millions of Jagat Gurus. Because you are the personification of divine mercy, you have distributed the sweet nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam and transcendental knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita all over the world. You are constantly engaged in exclusive devotion service to your spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Rupa Goswami, and the Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Currently, we are studying our Srimad Bhagavatam, morning Srimad Bhagavatam class in the section where, out of his compassion, Lord Shiva comes and instructs and guides the Prachetas in the science of devotional service. Similarly, out of a compassion, of your great compassion towards the fallen souls of Kali Yuga, in such an advanced stage of your 70 years, you have traveled to America and different parts of the world and preached the message of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hippies and made them into a great devotee of Lord Krishna. The difference between Prachetas and the hippies was that the Prachetas were highly cultured, pious, had great samskara, and all they were the sons of pious King Prachinivari. Obedient to their father, they were descendant of great lineage, Dhruva Maharaj and Prithu Maharaj. They had very favorable good qualities as a candidate of bhakti. In contrast, those hippies had none of these great qualities. Yet, you transformed them into wonderful devotees. Such is your ordinary quality and compassion, great extraordinary quality and compassion. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for allowing this insignificant to be a small part of your mission. Please continue to best of your kind mercy, and so we can offer you the rest of your life to mission. Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki. I hope I don't cry. But the disciplination is that we... So I'll try not to, but... I remember 30 years ago I walked into this temple and I was looking for relief from suffering, from the material energy. And I thought I was just going to walk in here and sit down like a monk and meditate all day. And then as soon as I got here, Yadu Straits said, okay, go to Crossways. And since then it's been non-stop. I was hoping it was just going to be peaceful. I'd just be able to sit around and meditate all day, but that is not the reality of being in ISKCON. So two of my main services at the moment, one is teaching Shastra. So we started with Bhakti Shastri, and then we did Bhakti Vaibhav, and now we're on Bhakti Vedanta. So we started that 16 years ago. And when we began, my goal was to finish the 10th canto. That was like my meditation. And then on Tuesday night, just gone, we finished the 10th canto. And I thought for many years, when I finish it, then that's it. Everything's finished now. I'm satisfied, I'm happy. And now I realize now there's the 11th canto, and that's even more nectarian. Because Krishna's final instructions to Uddhava in the Uddhava Gita. So that's the nature of Krishna consciousness. It just gets more nectarian and more nectarian. So tomorrow night we're beginning the 11th canto, which is Prabhupada's grace, because Prabhupada wanted us to study his books, and as we read a few times earlier, Prabhupada said he wanted all the devotees to become learned so that we can convince others about Krishna consciousness. So that's why we have to study Prabhupada's books. My other service is to look after Krishna's farm, which is very wonderful. And Prabhupada, if you read all of Prabhupada's quotes about farming, it's interesting because 1977, Prabhupada went in May, and we all know in 1977 from January onwards, Prabhupada was very unwell. He was actually bedridden. And in May of 1977, he left Vrindavan, and he was there to leave his body. That was why Prabhupada was there, and he couldn't even walk. Brahmananda Prabhu had to carry him to the taxi, and then they had to carry him to the aeroplane, and Prabhupada couldn't even walk, that's how. And he went again one last time to go out and preach. And it's interesting because it was the end of his mission, 1977, May, and Prabhupada said, I'm just going to visit the farms. He went to London, he went to Bhaktivedanta Manor, to where the cows are being protected, and then he was going to go to Gita Nagari, New Vrindavan. He was going to go around the world, only the farms, because he said, I've done everything else. But the only thing I have not done is establishing the Varnashram system, cow protection all over the world. So that was his final meditation. He got to London, and he was too sick, so he had to turn back, and he went back to Vrindavan to leave this world. So when I was reading all about the farms, I read, pages and pages of Prabhupada's instructions about farms. 50% of what Prabhupada says is about cow protection. Sorry, just disciplic succession, I'm falling. We have to look after Krishna's cows. They're Radha Ballabha's cows. And this is our great privilege, that we can serve them, we can look after them. So, about a month ago we had another baby, another cow, a little bull called Jai Jagannath. And he is very ecstatic. But unfortunately his mother, her name is Anuradha, she is not feeling so maternal, so she's not feeding him her milk. So Manigriva Prabhu every day has to hand feed milk to the baby to keep awake, to keep alive. So we're looking after the cow, and Manigriva Prabhu especially, looking after them so nicely, and Atuya and Dial and all the devotees. So because we have to look after him and he's very young, we can't leave him at the farm, we've brought him here today. This is the first time in the history of ISKCON Melbourne that we've brought the cows here. So Jai Jagannath is out there. I believe he's in the front area. You know the tents somewhere under there. He's under there. So this beautiful, beautiful little bull, he is here today. Please, we want everyone to go and see him, and you can pat him and you can look up. But please, don't be too noisy, because he's just little. And don't 100 devotees go at once, and devotees tend to be very loud. But just go very peacefully and quietly and pat him and look after him. And you'll get the supreme blessings of Lord Krishna. The supreme blessings of Lord Krishna. And in our sponsorship program now we have 19 cows in our herd, and we have 2 more about to come, or 3. 3? Yeah, 2.5, like that. 2 of the cows are definitely pregnant. We think the third one is also pregnant. So in the next 6 months, we'll have 2 or 3 more. So we're looking for devotees to sponsor. You can adopt a cow, and that cow becomes your cow. And you can pay for everything, all the feed and all the veterinary bills and everything that goes on. And you can come and visit the cow whenever you want, and you can look after the cow. It'll be your cow. Of course, many people are adopting the same cow also. Sometimes we don't tell everyone that. we tell everyone it's just your cow. But actually sometimes 5 people adopt the one cow. But this is the nature of the spiritual energy. The spiritual energy is unlimited. So unlimited people can adopt 1 cow, and you'll all get the benefit. The point is, Krishna's cows need to be protected. These are Radha Vallabha's cows. So by Krishna's arrangement, somehow, Jai Jagannath should be just out there, so you can go and visit him before or after prasadam, and you can pat him and feed him and just look after him very carefully, because he's very sweet, and he needs us to look after him now. And then when he gets big, then he will plow the fields. We're training the bulls to plow at the moment. The boys are training them. So this is fulfilling Prabhupada's mission, because his last tour of the world was going to be to all the farms. So he wanted the farms to become successful. So all of you pray that New Nandagram, that Hare Krishna Valley can become successful and become the best farm in ISKCON. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki.
What are we going to do? Who's got an offering? Like to speak? Yeah? There you go. Over to you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Tom.
Tom?
Yeah.
Tom's living at Hare Krishna Valley now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tom, you were working with the bullocks the other day.
Yeah.
He spent a year in New Governor. Now he's living at
Okay. Tom, let me introduce you, Tom. Because otherwise they'll think, who's this guy? So I'd like to introduce Tom from Hare Krishna Valley. What's your family name? Adams. Okay. An Aussie, right? Yeah. Okay, beauty.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Dishatarane. So this is a letter I wrote for Prabhupada. Dear Prabhupada, I can never thank you enough for all you have given me. When I started my spiritual journey at 18, I tried many different things to relieve my suffering, from Christianity, taking LSD in the bush, yoga, meditation, joining a couple different ashrams, living in the bush in my van, to travelling solo up the east coast of Australia, and even tried fasting. And I just about explored every conspiracy theory known to man. But none of these things gave me long-lasting spiritual bliss or the answers I was looking for. That wasn't until I found your beautiful movement at one of the best communities I've ever been a part of at New Govardhan, New South Wales, Australia. The first time I came to one of your temples, I had this instant feeling like I was finally coming back home. And from that moment on, I lost myself in a whirlwind of devotional service, and I haven't looked back. All the answers I had to life's big questions were answered, and the lifestyle to go with it was amazing. The prasadam, spiritualized food, was like no other food I've ever had before, and it still is to this day. I also really enjoy associating with your devotees and serving your devotees. One of my favourite services too has been working with your cows. Although when I look back on all the services I have done, there is just as much bliss from scrubbing the pots to distributing your books. This this Krishna conscious movement never really dwindles like most things in the material world, but it gets deeper and deeper, and I can derive new insight and more spiritual bliss every day. I have been faced with many difficulties in my short time being a devotee, and some tests got a bit too much for me, but in those moments I found myself surrendering to the holy name and not being overly consumed when the whole world around me felt like it was caving in. I pray for your mercy, Prabhupada, to stay fixed in devotional service, and I pray for your forgiveness for all the offences I have committed. I also pray for the spiritual strength to overcome my anarthas in my heart, so I can serve Krishna favourably and do this movement proud. So again, thank you, Prabhupada, and I hope to one day join you in the spiritual world. Hare Krishna.
Yoo-hoo! People are not still taking LSD, are they? What a waste of time.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapstaya Bhutale Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswami iti namani. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapstaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharni Nirvishes Shunyavadi Pashtat Tarani. Dear Srila Prabhupada, happy birthday to you. Just a few things I really need to say about this is, to be honest, I really don't know what I'm doing here. For the last 3 years, Aniruddha Prabhu has actually seen something in me. That's why I've actually survived here for the last 3 years. Every morning when I come and have your darshan at the temple, you know that I'm always shaking my head and asking you what I'm doing here. So thank you so much for trusting me so much, because I am just a fallen soul. I know you've always said that Lord Nityananda is so merciful that no one has any idea how merciful he can be. And just on reflection on that, I always realize how merciful you have been to all of us. And needless to say, for those of us who are actually born in the form of a woman. I know we always say that we are souls, but at the end of the day, in this material world, we are women. You have actually always inspired me as a woman, as a little girl, when I used to go to temples. This is the most important thing that actually occurred to me in my head, that, you know what, we are women in our body, but, you know, you have actually elevated us, and that was the most appealing thing for me. Because I come from a family where my mum has been very strong, my sisters have been very strong. I did not have a father figure from the age of 8, and I actually embraced that, and you actually confirmed that when I actually started visiting Hare Krishna temple from my teenage days. So thank you so much for being so merciful, not to everyone else, not just to everyone else, but as women. And I have a daughter, and that actually helps me with that as well. So Srila Prabhupada, thank you so much. We are just indebted to you life after life after life. Just on another note with what Keshava said, we did have our sponsor on Janmashtami for Madhavi. So I hope I haven't let the cat out. Only one sponsor so far. Yeah. Yeah. So Chandni, our lovely Chandni, who's actually working in LA at the moment, she sponsored baby Madhavi. Is it baby Madhavi? Yeah, so she sponsored her on Janmashtami Day. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you so much.
And we should think of Chunni, because Chunni went to Los Angeles in a fair bit of distress because she didn't want to leave Melbourne. Right? So just see how attached she still is. Do you remember? You may not remember. You may not know Chunni. Short. You know Chunni? Yeah. She liked to distribute books as well. Okay, who else have we got here? Priya. What about we can come to you in a minute. What about Krishna? You got it? Okay, these guys are always an inspiration. Let's see what he says. Then over to you, Priya. Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for what you have done for us. You did so much for us. You took a ship to America and got 2 heart attacks. But still, you were determined to follow the instructions of your Guru and to preach to us. Without you, we would be a non-devotee doing all sorts of things. There would be no ISKCON, and thus we could not serve the deities and the devotees. We would not know about the holy places like Mayapur and Vrindavan. You so wonderfully started this movement by sitting under a tree chanting Hare Krishna. I don't know how to thank you enough for what you have done for us. Without you, there would be no mridanga, harmonium and kartal. There would be like no 197 Dank Street. Our temple would not be there, but somebody's house would have been there in place of it. There would be no guru to guide us, and instead of Srimad Bhagavatam class, there would be some other speech. There would be no devotees, but just non-devotees. There would be no Mangalarti, but everyone would just be sleeping in their homes on their bed. And we would also not know about all the other scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Without you, there would be no Hare Krishna valley where we can love cows, but a farm where cows are taken to be slaughtered. If you were not there, there would be no festivals, but a boring life. If you were not there, there would be no smiling devotees, but just unhappy faces. If you were not there, there would be no Harinam, but just a nonsensical song. Without you, there would be no devotees to associate with. Srila Prabhupada, you wrote so many books and you slept only for 2 hours every day. Thank you for guiding us through your books and instructing us. Thank you for giving so many things which are part of our everyday life. Your servant Krishna Das. Hare Krishna.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यानामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य सारणे. It's very humbling to hear all the offerings. I won't take too much time. I just want to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada comes through the mercy of Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir and all the exalted Vaishnavas who have given me an opportunity to be part of this temple. I would like, starting from Anirudh Prabhu and Achintya Prabhu Mataji, who are upholding all the values and principles that Srila Prabhupada wanted to be part of this institution. I also would like to thank, so many Siksha Gurus are there. My Bhagavatam teacher, Keshav Prabhu, without whose mercy, there was no way we could have reached the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there are so many other devotees, it's very difficult to name every single individual, but thank you very much for giving us the message of Srila Prabhupada. Without all your mercy, we wouldn't have understood what Prabhupada was trying to tell us. Thank you very much for all the opportunities that the institution has given and is continuing to give us, despite no qualifications that we have. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Dear Srila Prabhupada, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you for everything you have done. I'm reading your Leelamrita, your life story. What stands out to me most is the interactions that you have with your spiritual master. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Every morning we sing this prayer. You are the perfect example of how a disciple should take the spiritual master's instruction upon one's head and consider it one's life and soul. Sometimes one's life may be lost, but one should still serve the words of the spiritual master, even if life is lost in doing so. You are just the perfect example of this. One gets immense spiritual strength by serving the spiritual master and following his instructions as it is. That means serving it without duplicity. You are the perfect example in our experience of what happens if one does this. That is, taking the spiritual master's instructions upon one's head and it gives us so much faith to practice it in our own life. It gives us faith to follow your instructions that you have mentioned in the purports, and also the Namaprads, which clearly state that it is an offense to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Also, through our daily morning program, we get hints as to how to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastrair. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord, because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. And Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi. The Supreme Lord is pleased when the spiritual master is pleased. So if we disobey your orders or your instructions, we have no way to please the Lord. So one cannot bypass the proper channel of the spiritual master. We wish to take your instructions very seriously and check ourselves every Vyasa-puja as to how we have done. Another example is given of a bumblebee. The bumblebee is always in search of nectar, and he finally finds it in the cooling shade of a lotus. E Brahmando Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Similarly, this is our position. We have been wandering life after life, in universe after universe, searching for some sense pleasure. And this bumblebee, searching in this way, goes to different flowers, trying to search out some honey. Suffering many conditions, sometimes it reaches the Ketaki flower. The Ketaki flower emanates a very sweet scent, and for that reason, the bumblebee is attracted to it. Just like the rose flower has thorns in its stems, the Ketaki flower also has thorns. It is said that the Ketaki flower has thorns in its petals. So the bumblebee rips its wings when it visits the Ketaki flower. Then, wandering hither and thither in much agony, it doesn't know where or how to obtain relief. Then when it reaches the lotus flower, it finally reaches its destination. The lotus flower is cooling. The petals have a cooling effect for the bumblebee and also produces a special type of honey called Padma Madhu. So taking shelter at the petals of the flower and drinking this honey, the bumblebee takes rest peacefully. We also have been wandering hither and thither in this world or universe across many lifetimes, and finally we have found shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme of Sri Guru, at your lotus feet, Srila Prabhupada, and we are now attempting to drink the honey emanating from your lotus feet. It is a great relief to take rest at your feet, same way as the bumblebee obtains so much relief from the tearing petals of the Ketaki flower. Sri Guru is considered as a lotus flower in the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. Just like the ordinary lotus grows in ordinary waters, the lotus of Sri Guru grows in the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. The ordinary lotus gets the same quality of nourishment as the water it grows in. Similarly, the nourishment that Sri Guru lotus gets is the same quality of the ocean that in which it grows in, which is Bhakti Rasa. Sri Guru is considered also as Krishna Kripa Sri Murti. That means that when the mercy of Krishna, that is Krishna Kripa, takes on a form, that is Sri Guru. So the Sri Murti form of Krishna's mercy is Sri Murti form of Krishna's mercy is Sri Guru, and hence the Guru is called Krishna Kripa Sri Murti. So you are Srila Prabhupada, the complete embodiment of Krishna Kripa. You are our Krishna Kripa Sri Murti. Then from this one can understand that it is Krishna Kripa or Krishna's mercy that we have obtained access to you. So the whole thing, it is Krishna's grand plan, and ultimately the mercy of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. By direct mercy of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, we have obtained access to you in this lifetime, who are the embodiment of Krishna Kripa. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru, and by the mercy of Guru, one gets Krishna. Certainly, by the mercy of Krishna, we have obtained you. Now it is up to us how best we utilize your instructions to obtain Krishna. We will have to take your instructions as our life and soul, and as mentioned, we will have to use your Divine Appearance Day to measure our success and our progress, aspiring to serve you in the very best way. Your servant, Priya. We have our famous big book distributor family, and Kiran Mataji would like to have a reading. She's just next to me.
I think we're going to have to finish here. There's a massive queue outside for darshan, and as we can see, it's not moving very quickly at all, if at all. What do you think? Sudashangaranga? We need to get things moving. So if everybody can rise, women on Dank Street side, the men on the Little Page Street side, get some flowers, and we'll do the Pushpanjali to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Puja. And if we can keep the queue moving for darshan, that'll be appreciated. Somebody should distribute these, please. And come forward when we've fixed up this. Oh, that was ridiculous.
That's it.
I've never seen those birds in Mayapur. Okay.
All right.
Oh, it's going to be hard for me to. I need a book in my hand too. That's just my forearms.
Can't manifest it at the moment.
What's the gay lamps?
At least they're not going to burn the house down, are they?
It's hysterical.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Hey.
Pretty funky. Can I have that mic stand, Rikeshari, please? Thank you. Songbook? Songbook? Cows. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Samahyam Tadatisva Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam, Sri Gurun, Vaishnavamscha, Sri Rupam, Sagrajatam, Sahagana, Raghunatham Vitam, Tam Sajivam, Sadvaitam, Savadhutam, Parijana, Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Sri Radha, Krishna Padan, Sahagana, Lalita, Sri Visakha, Ambitamscha, Nama, Om, Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prashtaya, Bhutale, Srimate, Bhaktivedanta, Swamin, Iti Namine, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani, Pracharine, Nirvisesha, Shunyavadi, Paschatya, Deshatarine, Nama, Om, Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prashtaya, Bhutale, Srimate, Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Ti, Namine, Shri Vashabhanavi Devi, Daitaya, Kribhabdhaye, Krishna Sambandha, Vijnana, Dayane, Prabhave, Namaha, Madhuryujvala, Premadya, Sri Rupanuga, Bhaktida, Sri Gora, Karuna Shakti, Vigrahaya, Namo